Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. I am Dr. Chetna Kumawat and we are studying management of receivables. In our previous lecture, we have discussed scope of management of receivables, formulation of credit policy, credit evaluation and credit control. Now we will understand in more depth. So we will take up the first one, which is formulation of credit policy. A firm makes significant investment by extending credit to its customers. This requires a suitable and effective credit policy to control the level of total investment in receivables. Credit policy refers to the application of those factors which influence the amount of trade credit, that is, investment in receivables. General economic conditions, competition, industry norms, and pace of technology changes are the factors that affect the investment in receivables in an enterprise. But the firm has almost no control over these factors. The credit policy of the firm will change as and when any external factor changes. Generally, firms identify the following two types of credit policy. Number 1, liberal or lenient credit policy. Number 2, stringent or light credit policy, wherein credit sales are made liberally to those customers whose creditworthiness is either doubtful or even is not known at all. In such cases, the sales are made on liberal terms and favorable incentives are granted to customers that results in larger sales and higher profits. At the same time, it increases investment in receivables and the costs associated with it. Such a policy will also increase risk because of lower liquidity. Wherein credit sales are made only to those customers whose creditworthiness has been tested and is proved good. Firms following such policy are very selective in granting credit sales. In following such a policy, costs and bad debts will be minimum and no serious problem of liquidity is posed. But at the same time, such a policy adversely affects the sales position and margin of profits, that is profitability. The aforesaid description makes it clear that as the firm makes its credit policy more and more liberal, its liquidity decreases, whereas profitability increases. On the other hand, if the firm makes the credit policy more and more stringent, the liquidity may increase, but the profitability will definitely go down. A firm, therefore, should try to frame its credit policy in such a way as to attain the best possible combination of profitability and liquidity so that the overall return to the enterprise is maximized. The basic decision to be made regarding receivables is to decide how much credit be extended to the customer and on what terms. With this view, credit policy may be defined as the set of parameters and principles that govern the extension of credit to the customers. These parameters, also known as components of credit policy, they are credit standards, credit terms, and collection policy. So let's take a look what all these are. Credit standards. While formulating the credit policy of a firm, the finance manager has to be ensured about the type of customers to whom the firm will extend credit facility. This decision is taken on the basis of credit standards. Credit standards are the coding principles set by the credit control department to screen credit applicants in order to determine the selection of customers to whom credit can be offered and the amount of credit limit that can be offered. In nutshell, credit standards are the basic criteria for the extension of credit to customers. The quantitative basis of establishing credit standards are factors such as credit ratings, credit references, average payment period, financial ratios. When the credit standards of a firm are loose, the level of sales and receivables is likely to be high. The cost of credit administration and bad debts losses will also increase. As against this, when credit standards are relatively tight, the sales and receivables are likely to be low. Such standards will result in no bad debts, losses, and less cost of credit administration. Thus, the choice of optimum credit standards involves a trade-off between incremental return and incremental costs. The credit standards of a firm are influenced by factors such as the customer's willingness to pay, the customer's ability to pay, the customer's financial soundness, the customer's assets that may be mortgaged, and the conditions that are prevailing presently. Now let's understand what we mean by credit terms. After determining credit standards and capability of the customer, the management has to determine those terms on which credit will be extended. The credit terms refer to the set of stipulations or conditions under which the credit is extended to the customer. These relate to the payment of goods sold. The credit terms specify how the credit will be offered, including the length of the period, the interest on the credit, and the cost of default. The credit terms relate to number 1, credit period, number 2, cash discount, and number 3, discount period. These terms reflect a combination of the credit terms and written as 2/10 net 30. It implies that if payment is made within 10 days, cash discount at the rate of 2% will be granted. Otherwise, the payment is to be made by 30th day if the offer of discount is not availed. Thus, in this 2/10 net 30 abbreviation, cash discount is 2%, discount period is 10 days, and credit period is 30 days. And the third one is collection policy. Proper management of receivables requires an appropriate collection policy of the firm. Collection policy refers to the procedure adopted by a firm to collect payments due on past accounts. The basic objective of formulating a collection policy is to ensure the timely payment on receivables without losing any customers. It helps the finance manager to tighten the credit policy for slow paying customers. A strict or lenient, both type of collection policies have adverse effect on business. A strict collection policy can affect the goodwill and damage the growth prospectus of sales, while in a lenient collection policy, the customers with natural tendency towards slow payments will become even more slower to settle their accounts. Therefore, a collection policy should be such that it may reduce the proportion of bad debt losses and shorter the average collection period. An important variable in collection policy is expenditure on collection. The greater the amount spent on collection efforts, the lower the portion of bad debts losses and the shorter is the average collection period. Therefore, an optimum collection policy should be framed by the firm in such a way that the costs, collection expenditure and benefits, reduction in bad debts losses, and the cost of investment in receivables arising from collections are in equilibrium, and it should be pursued till benefits exceed costs. This has been explained in various examples. So, this is it for today's lecture. Thank you so much for your patience and listening to it. Have a good day.